Fernando Mendoza can help the Raiders get to the wild card round. Is that ridiculous, Lewis?
Yeah, I think that's a little ridiculous. I think the Raiders are going to make some serious improvement, and there's still a lot of work left to be done, especially here in the late parts of free agency and then in the draft. But I don't think, because of how strong the West is, because of the move that Denver is making, I think Kansas City is going to be back. Brett Veach is going to nail that draft. The Chargers are going to be legit, and the rest of the AFC overall is not going anywhere. Baltimore's still going to be a player. Buffalo's still going to be a player. Pittsburgh, I would think, if they can get their quarterback situation squared away, is going to be a player. It's going to be tough for them to kind of get one of those wild card spots. But this will be an improved football team. I just think we need to temper expectations as far as what to expect in 2026.
Harry, first-year coach, going to be a rookie quarterback. Is it realistic to think wild card's even a possibility?
It is not realistic, not for Las Vegas. This is going to be a 2 to 3 year process, and I lean more towards a 2-year plan. Love the moves that they made in the offseason and free agency, especially bulking up the defensive side of the ball, getting Tyler Linderbaum, a center that can help a young quarterback and take a lot of things off of his plate. But this is a 2 to 3 year plan. This is not a 1-year plan.
Yeah. So, you guys know obviously I have been as hyped and as excited about the Las Vegas Raiders as you possibly can get. I mean, I've been going at it and I love it, and I and Raiders fans have been absolutely awesome. I already shared all my love in a previous video, so I won't bore you guys with that rant again. But I do like to be as balanced as I possibly can. And I love to look at things from all different directions. I think if you just keep looking at something through one direction, one side, you get farther from the truth. Even if sometimes you're right, even if you're right for a long period of time, you still ultimately it becomes more that you're just actually lucky that you were right. Then it's kind of how I feel about a lot of people who just kept saying the Chiefs are going to win. The Chiefs are going to win. The Chiefs are going to win. And it's just like you're not actually basing that off of analysis. Yeah, you were correct maybe these last couple of seasons, but like that was actually more luck because you then said the same thing and they didn't. And then you said the same thing again and they didn't. So it's just like, which is it? Were you correct before and just wrong now, or were you wrong all the times? But the outcome just kind of saved you, right? Saved the day. And we talk about this in football all the time, where it's always like, don't judge a coach's decision based on the outcome. And any time I watch a football game, if there's ever kind of like if they're going to go for it on 4th down or, whatever it may be, I always try to quickly come up with what I feel in that moment before the play happens at all, because I want to know like what are my thoughts before I recognize what the outcome is, because I don't want the outcome to even remotely color my views. And with a team like the Raiders, right, obviously the Raiders are setting Fernando Mendoza up to succeed immediately. I have talked about that at length, and it's, very clear and obvious to me, and I love everything that they're doing. But if we want to have a very targeted, hey, they're going to make the playoffs, and I don't feel like we have to reduce it down to just wild card, but let's just say make the playoffs. When we look at some of these other quick turnaround teams that really went from absolutely nothing to something. Let's just look at the Commanders going from nothing to something. From in terms of, rookie year with Jaden Daniels, rookie year with C.J. Stroud, with the Houston Texans, second year even with Drake May and the New England Patriots. The biggest common theme is that they were in divisions where they had such easy wins, where they were just layup wins, absolute layup wins that you were like, yeah, we're in a position to get 3-4 wins on top of the rest of the season. And Jaden Daniels is widely seen at this point as having the best rookie season of all time. Not only just from a stat perspective, win to an NFC championship game, singular moment, individual moments like fourth quarter comeback, he had all the moments, right? All the moments. And so whether you agree that it was ultimately the best rookie year of all time is kind of irrelevant, because it was obviously awesome. It was obviously unbelievable. Yet, they absolutely could have missed the playoffs. I mean, there was they easily could have lost the Eagles. They were very fortunate to beat the Eagles. They were very fortunate to beat it was a Hail Mary against the Chicago Bears. Like, that alone now, you take away those 2 wins, I'm not sure that they even make the playoffs. And if they did, their seeding definitely changes, but I'm pretty sure they might have just off of those 2 losses alone, they don't even make the like. So, it's like it could have been the season that never was. It easily could have been an awesome season, an unbelievable season, but you didn't even make the playoffs, and it wouldn't have meant that it still wasn't great, that it wasn't spectacular, that the team didn't significantly get better, that Jaden Daniels isn't elite, etc., etc., etc. And I don't remember exactly how. Oh, I do actually. I just shouldn't say exactly. C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, they were a play away. Agu Minshew throw away from the Houston Texans not even making the playoffs, and before Jaden Daniels took over, everybody was like, that's the best rookie year of all time, and yet they would have missed the playoffs. I remember watching that game. It was Colts-Texans, and it came down to the final drive, final play. They were literally, because I'm a big believer in Shane Steichen, and it was just like, wow, it was amazing. What Shane Steichen was doing with Gardner Minshew in it was like they were genuinely a single throw away from having C.J. Stroud and Texas even make the playoffs. And so we have 2 quarterbacks who people have said back-to-back this was the best rookie year ever and gave them all the momentum in the world going into the next season, and yet they both could have missed the playoffs. Now, they made the playoffs and they, won a playoff multi, C.J. won 1 and, Jaden won multiple, but it was just like it's such a fine line. Even the game against the Commanders for Jaden Daniels, not against Commanders, against the Buccaneers, they almost lost that game. They easily could have lost that game. Easily could have lost that game. And that was one of those things about don't judge the outcome necessarily, because my whole thing was like I think Jaden Daniels is better than Baker. I think the Commanders are better than the Bucs. And that all obviously ended up being true. They won multiple playoff games. They took down the Detroit Lions. They got to the NFC Championship game, and yet they could have lost against the Bucs. They could have lost in the wild card easily. It absolutely, the one field goal was looking like it was about to go wild. Like it was just that's how fine of a line. And yet would have I been wrong about my take about the Commanders being better? Like obviously not, because they did end up winning, yet if the kicker was just ever so slightly off they lose. And so that's the line that you're working with. And the margin of error is even smaller with the Las Vegas Raiders just by virtue of the division. They don't have the easy Giants to beat up the Cowboys. Especially, sticking with the Commanders. Dak Prescott was injured last season. This the season before that, Jaden's rookie year. You're talking about the Titans. The Jags were a mess. Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence was a mess. This wasn't the Liam Cohen J, like everything's just changed. Everything was as messy. But I think Trevor Lawrence was also really injured. He was in and out of that lineup. He was injured. I think that was the whole thing, where everyone made fun of the Jags for not even bringing out a cart for him, and they made him walk even though he was injured. Like all this stuff, like, so you're talking about franchises that were just an absolute mess. That is not the luxury that the Las Vegas Raiders get to take advantage of. They were that team. The Raiders simply were that team that Bo Nix gets to be like, I'm a rookie quarterback, but at least I get some wins against the Raiders. Like that's nice, right? Like there is no luxury of that right now. You have to go up against Patrick Mahomes, I assume. Justin Herbert and Bo Nix. You don't get to go up against who's that quarter? What is he? When was he? Who is that? Oh, I remember that. Oh, didn't he play for USC in like 2019 or something? Like, oh, wow. So, isn't he on his like 9th team? Oh, he's 37 years. Like, that's not the situation that you're going in right now. And that is a disadvantage. It's not to say that you can't beat them. It's not to say that you won't be competitive. It's not to say that you won't make the playoffs. It's just that even in the most perfect situations where we see quarterbacks and teams make an absolute snap of the finger overnight turnaround, They needed a lot of things to go their way. They needed a lot of things to go their way. The margin of error was so small and they had a very easy situation where it was like you get to take advantage of fundamentally bad teams in your own division. You literally can get 4+ games where you're just like, listen, if you're competent, if you're actually good, if you're actually trending in the right direction, you are in a position to win these games. That's massive. That's absolutely massive. Just again, Drake May, he absolutely obviously beat Josh Allen the one game and that which was beautiful. You also got to take advantage of the Jets and, the Dolphins, right? Like you got to take advantage of whoever was the quarterback at the time in those games. Like yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. If they had to go up against the Bills multiple times, 3, 4 times, 5 times, that changes the season a lot for the New England Patriots. And so that's just the situation that the Raiders are facing. Maybe the Chiefs are not good. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is not back and you're dealing with the Justin Fields situation. And it's like, okay, totally fair game. But listen, I know Raiders fans aren't like, yeah, the Chargers are great and the Broncos are great and the Chiefs are great, which is fine. I get that, but they're not a mess. They're not incompetent. They're not circling the drain like the Tennessee Titans simply were, right? Like the New York Giants simply were. Who the heck was the quarterback? What was it? It was kind of Daniel Jones, I think, in 2024, for Jane Daniels going up against I think one game was Daniel Jones, another one was like Jimmy Cutlets, whatever the heck his name. It was just like who's even the quarterback? Like what's even the story they're going up against Cooper Rush and whatnot. It's like it's just fun. It's just different. It's such an advantage that the Raiders simply do not have. So, I think keep that in mind more than anything that's something to kind of factor in when trying to figure out the success and how to not even the success that they have because I think it will be irrelevant to if they end up winning those games or having those easy games because I still think it'll be successful just like how I would have thought it would still have been successful with CJ and Jaden. But just in terms of how you evaluate and put things in perspective, and again, I'm not saying that the Raiders won't make the playoffs or that they won't be able to kind of get the job done, just that recognize ultimately that it is an incredibly narrow line between having literally the best rookie year ever and the fastest turnaround we've ever seen to genuinely missing the playoffs. Legitimately missing the playoffs and just being another team that was like, oh, they won 8 wins. They had 9 wins, 8 wins, and it was just like and that just kind of gets lost into the fold and it's you're talking about just the narrowest margin and that's where the Raiders find themselves in. And if Jaden Daniels and the Commanders found themselves in it, if the Patriots found themselves in it, if the Texans found in it, the Raiders aren't going to be immune from that. So, that's why I'm excited to see how it kind of unfolds and where it lands. But yeah, just the way I'm looking at it right now. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Las Vegas Raiders? How you feeling about their ability to make the playoffs? I made another video where Colin was talking about they can get to the Super Bowl and whatnot. And it's just like, I think these conversations are fun in this moment of time. And I think it's important to be able to look at it from the extreme, the negative extreme as well, the extreme positive, the extreme negative. And then you kind of float around along that spectrum. I think when you do that, you get a clearer picture of what's actually happening. Otherwise, you find yourself in the situation where like Nick Wright comes out and says Caleb Williams is going to the Super Bowl and he's going to be an MVP kind of and it's like and then they didn't even make the playoffs, right? So, it's why you got to look at the extreme, you got to look at the negative extreme, you got to look in the middle, and then you kind of just have to float around and see what do I think is the most realistic. What do I think is actually possible? What do I think is impossible? And kind of clarify the picture there. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me either way, let's get to some discussions. Let's get to some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.